meaning that it should be justice on that. It should be justice on that. So usually bila kita kerja, when we work, right, usually we refer to the task given to us is a burden. So how your boss distribute that task, right? Usually want to question on that. Is justice or not? Adil or not? Right? Because sometimes we want to refer, we want to compare between the task given to us, to you, and to your colleagues. So we want to look into that, right? If the same, okay, it's justice done. But if it's more on you, or the burden is more on you, more task given to you, you know, oh no, it's not deal. It's not justice. Justice not serve your question, your boss, right? Uh, how you can come up with that the ideas of giving you more tasks given compared to your colleague. This is, we call it distributive. Right? Distributive I mentioned earlier is about a legal system, right? It's in a legal system, no, nothing else. Right? About how the imposition of punishment or penalties and penalties. Right? Saya bagi example, I'll give you one example last time, right? For example, you steal 1,000 and compare those people who steal 1 million, you know, how they impose the punishment on these two cases. So sometimes we question on that, right? How can the punishment is equal, some? So we take a question on justice on that, right? How can people who steal 1,000 and people who steal 1 million, you know, the punishment is equal, the same. So we question on that. So we question on the retributive justice. Compensation usually taraf dengan kita punya agreements lah, right? Compensatory justice, talking about required just compensation of the wrong or injuries. Ini yang kita belajar on the third right. The third one is contractual right. Contractual right means there will be an agreement on that, and agreements. So dalam agreement, in that agreement, we already agree on certain terms, on especially on compensations. So we question on this, justice on this, something that we agreed upon on something defect, injury or wrong, or this thing, right? So this is what we call it compensatory justice. Okay. Now this one, okay, we start with this, all right? Then continue. Actually, this is a principle of distributive justice, one of the first one, right? So there are 6, you know, what we call mini principle that support the principle of distributive justice. So the first one we call it fundamentals. The fundamentals is just foundation, and fundamental is a foundation. Distribution of benefit burden equal to burden. Benefit and burden must be equal to equal, right? Equal to equal, unequal to unequal. That is the foundation. Secara asasnya, it should be that way, right? It should be that way. It must be if equal to equal, to unequal to unequal, right? This must exactly the same. This must, right? And that must is not equal. It should be the same also. Distribution must be on that level of unequal. All right. The second one, egalitarians. Okay, what is it means on distributive justice? Distribute equally to everyone, right? Equally, equal to equal. Must be to equal to everyone. Okay, the third one, this is something I think most of us will must understand. They are capitalists. Here, actually, capitalist system is the system of outcome of the system. Outcome from what? Outcome from the market system. Okay, outcome from the market system. So the outcome of the market system, we can come up with what we call it a capitalist system. Okay, in capitalist system, right, it we can create so many things. One of that is what we call class in society. Okay, class in society. That's why we have rich people, not so rich people, middle people, middle class people, the bottom class people, poor people. So capitalist system is When we talk about justice, is we refer to how much you contribute to the system. Okay, how much you contribute to the system. Here, very much we are talking about economic system. Right? How much you contribute to the economic system. The more you contribute, the higher class you are. Right? That's why people who are rich, why they are rich? Because they contribute more to the system, more to the economic system. So we cannot question why they are rich. And kita cannot question because justice has been done. Because they are rich because with the amount of contribution that they give to the system, to the economic system. Okay, why there are people, low class, what we call low class of people, in other words, poor people. Why they are poor? Is justice is there, and we cannot question why there are people who are rich, there are people who are less rich or poor, in other words, right? Because the poor people contribute little to the system, so justice is just there, meaning that we cannot question why they become poor, right? So kita tak ada lah orang kata rasa very is bad because they're poor, because it's according to the how much you contribute to the system. So it's about capitalist system. That's why some people really go again on this system, capitalist system, because the one thing that very clear that capitalist system will create what we call on class in society. Okay, class in society. So, okay, depend on the how much you contribute to the system. Socialist, according to socialist, is according to the distributive justice, according to needs and ability, and kepada keperluan, the needs, and your ability, right, the means, you are able to come up with your ability to come up with that, what we call in the process of distribution. And of course, libertarian talking about free choice. Remember the word libertarian is well explained, right? Meaning freedom, right? Distribute by free choice. So we question on the distribution of whether it's burden or benefit. It's your choice. So that you may talk about your choice, the freedom of taking what way you want to use. So we call it's a libertarian concept. It's libertarian concept. And of course the roles is actually the person, the name of person. Distribute by equal liberty. Okay, equal liberty, actually freedom, equal opportunity, right? And needs of disability. One different about role is the last one, the needs of disadvantage, compared to the what we call socialist approach, right? Or system of socialist. Okay, I think this one not that need, so kita move to this is the one we're talking about reciprocity, fairness of blaming or punishment person for doing wrong. So reciprocity very much start up with the what we call the legal system that we have, right? SOP that we have right now. We're having kita ada SOP in COVID-19 punya SOP. So we have what we call who violate that SOP, okay, they will be fined and you'll be punished. So sometimes kita question why some action taken by BIP people, they are not be punished. They're no, they don't get fined or something like that, and we are the normal people, we've been fined 1,000, that kind of thing. So we question on this distributive justice, right? Adil lah, people on higher, VIP people, nothing action taken to them, even though they violate that what we call, they break the SOP or violate the SOP. Whereas us, if you commit that things, we have been, we are in trouble. So kita kena fine 1,000 and then the punishment. So we question, if we question on that, actually we question on reciprocity justice. The question of reciprocity justice. Compensatory, I mentioned just now, fairness when restoring a person what the person lost when he or she was wronged by someone else. Ini actually come from the agreement we have before. Compensatory usually come from the agreement we have before. We call a contractual right that we have. Okay, dia tarap dengan that. And what will be agreed upon between these two parties? How much actually, if something wrong, something is damaged, injury in this, okay, we question on fair or not in the context of compensatory. Pampasan yang dibayar adil tak, right? And because he usually tied up with the agreement that we have before, in that contractual punya agreement. If you break that agreement, meaning that we question on that justice. If you don't fulfill the agreement yang kita agreed upon, then we question on this. Okay, this is the last one. Okay, this is the last one, ethic of care. As I said, there are four main concepts. We have done already the itinerarians approach, concept of itinerarians, concepts of right, justice. These two, especially justice and right, is the word itself well explained the concept. The word itself, except itinerarian, is about what we call the approach of we're talking about on quantitative approach, right? And talking about measurement. It's not well explained unless you understand the concept. But you're talking about justice and right, the word itself well explained. Cuma kita go deeper tadi lah, type of right, type of justice, that kind of thing, right? But it's well explained by the word itself. Similarly, here in ethic of care, and the word caring itself, okay, is well explained. Ethics need to not to be impartial. In the caring punya concept should be not impartial. You cannot have some kind of impartial lah, tak adil. Berpihak. Impartial, you call it berpihak. Right? You side with, you cannot be ada impartial. Look at second one. Emphasis preserving or nurturing concrete, valuable relationship. Okay. This is the most important. In the concept of ethics, ethic of care, one characteristic is here, one element of this must be there. Element of what? Relationship. Relationship, perhubungan. So we will make sure how much you care the people or whatever the thing, it depends on the quality of your relationship with another party, right? The relationship, the degree of or the quality of your relationship with another party. For example, parents care for the kids, right? Parents care for the kids. Is how much the people care, what we call on to the kid. If we look into the degree of relationship, the quality of that relationship, definitely, right? We can expect that how much caring between parents and kids and their children is. You want to compare parent with the kids or the children of your neighbor, your friends, that kind of thing. There might definitely there will be a difference because the quality is different, right? The degree of relationship is different. The quality is different. So this depend on that. When talking about caring, one thing is clear, and that we must look into this element of care. Elements of relationship, perhubungan, element of relationship. Depend on everything. The caring, the degree of caring will depend on the quality of that relationship. Okay. That's why I said, kalau you tengok, nanti, just wait. I will refer you to one case study, and you can refer to another case study we already discussed on this ethic of the concept of caring. We should care for those depend on and related to us, right? So again, I said the degree of caring, right? It depends on party that depend on you, and the other party that depend on you, and related to you, ada close related relationship with you. So this is the degree. We can measure that degree of that relationship, the quality of that caring tadi. And the quality of that caring too will depend on this. For those who are related to you, people those who are depend on you. That's why in we can see the difference between caring between parent and kid and their children, between your fathers, your parent towards other party, maybe other kids, right? Your maybe your cousin, something like that. So you can see the difference between the degree of that, the quality of that caring. Right? Kita boleh tengok perbezaan, and what we call the degree of or the quality of that caring. Definitely, your parent care you very much. The quality is there to be seen and clear. But if you compare is maybe your parents with your parent with their punya niece or nephew, you can see a bit of different, right? The quality, because that's normal. That's normal, right? Because of self-required caring relationship with others, those relationships are valuable and should be nurtured. And so we know that the nature of caring tadi. So we must to care of that quality, or we want to maintain that quality, we have to nurture it. eh. We have to nurture the what we call the relationship. Nurture mean pupuk, and have a strong what we call engagement. Kita kena pupuk, kita kena engage with that relationship to make sure that eh, the quality is remain. The strong quality, the good quality remain. Otherwise, it gone. That's why if kita don't care very much on that relationship, sooner or later it just it just fade, it gone. And even with your parents, right? So that's why we said your relationship with your parents, you have to nurture that relationship. Both parties have to nurture that relationship. You want to maintain the quality of that relationships. Kita tak boleh just take for granted that relationship will be there forever, even though it will there, but the quality, what I'm talking about, the quality. All relationship we must nurture. Kita kena put an effort to meet it stay or remain with that kind of quality that we want. Okay, and of course, some people don't agree on this concept, because they say the output from caring so much, right? When you emphasize on the quality of the relationships, so it will create this outcome. One is it will create a favoritism. It will create a favoritism. And the second one, it will create what we call a burns out. Favoritism, favoritism, of course. We can see the difference, of course, as I mentioned. Right. The quality of relationship definitely is different. So, for example, if your boss, yes, your boss, very much concentrate on you, the quality of relationship is very good compared to your teammate, right? So that will create a kind of favoritism. People will see that, oh, come on, you have a favor, you are close with your boss. The relationship is so close with your boss. So it will create some kind of situation of favoritisms. Same thing here, right? If you the person who really care, put very much your effort, time and effort to take care of the person that you want to care, it will create a situation of burnt out. Burnt out is actually what we call the highest level of stress. The highest of stress, level of stress. Stress, dalam Indonesia, work stress, right? Work stress actually we measure on the degree of stress that we face. Again, stress is actually a degree. We measure on the degree. So we have lower level of stress, middle level of stress, and higher level of stress. Burns out is actually the highest level of stress. So it can create when you put so much your effort of taking care of of the party that you want to take care. Right? It will create this kind of situation on what we call stress level to the highest point. So we use the word burnt out. So if your boss take care so much of you, it will create a situation where your boss can come up with this kind of situation. He becomes stretched. And so this is what we say the outcomes. It might create these two outcomes of those relationship. Eh? And we focus so much on we want to look into the quality of that relationship. So we create this kind of two situation. And one is favoritism, and the other one is it create a situation of burns out. Right? All right. This is a concept that support very much on, as I mentioned just now, on caring. Eh? So we have four concept or theory that's very much support on what we call on caring. You know the word virtue, right? Theory of moral virtue. Virtue meaning that's good things, doing a good things. Kebaikan lah in bahasa, and everything good. Eh? What you do is your action is toward good action. Eh? So we have four. In fact, on this principle, there has so many principles. Eh? Not just on this four, but here is dalam buku ni ada 4 saya to highlight, meaning that how people look into concept of doing good things. How the concept of doing good thing, doing good things, right? So Aristotle dia kata, okay, virtue is habit, a habit that enable a person to live according to reason, according to reasons, by habitually choosing the means between extreme in action and emotion. So Aristotle looking that it very much of emotion, and you choose the one that action that extremes to the highest extreme, meaning that to the highest points lah. And of course it involves emotion. Compared to the Aquinas, and Aquinas said that virtue a habit, okay, also a habit, enable a person to live reasonably on this world and united with God in the next. So Aquinas is looking on the two perspectives. You do good things because it's normal. It's normal to go as a person. It is our job to do good thing here, and also looking on what for the after year after. Meaning that we are looking on the religious perspective lah, looking at God. So of course God asks us to do good thing. So I couldn't looking on that, on to those perspective, looking on dalam dunia and day after. So mereka tahu pula looking on virtue are disposition that enable a person to achieve the good in which human practice aims. Looking on what is your objective, right? You're doing good thing because you have what we call an objective where you want to go to, right? For doing that good things, and you must have an aims or an objective of why you do these good things. So think of virtue are the position we use when choosing between person or potential futures or future self, right? Between the person or ourselves on for the future. So this is this is a theory, the concept that people have on doing a good thing. Of course, kalau dalam religion we have virtue. There are some concepts in Buddha, concepts of virtue in Hindus, and of course in Muslim we have the concept of when doing good thing, and in Islam, and that's why I say when you go to the religion perspective, you can see a lot of what we call the principle of virtue is there, and the value of doing a good things. Okay, this one right done. So we come to almost to the end of the chapter 2. Okay, so objection, people not really agree on what because this concept is inconsistent with psychology, which show that behavior is determined by external situation. not moral character. And people, when you do a good thing, actually, it depends on the situation that you face, not that it come from inside, not from the various system that you subscribe, that you hold, and it come from on depend on the situation you might face, right? So this is the idea, and they don't believe that it come from the ourselves, from internal, right? Respond to that. Moral character determine behavior in person, family, environment, right? Moral character. How we act morally, it determine on behavior of the person familiar with the environment. This is how we, this is how we, this the environment of us. This is how we do. And kalau kita di sini clear, this is the environment that we have, that we have. So we act accordingly to the environment. Okay, in meaning that it have to come from inside. It come to from inside. Similarly, the second one said, recent psychology show that even the studies show that behavior determined by one moral identity. Right? How we act depend on the standard that we have, the moral standard that we have, and determine the moral standards lah. The moral standard that we have, which include one virtue and vices. You buat baik ataupun you buat tak baik. You do good thing or opposite of that. It come from you, from the standard that you have. Okay? Meaning that, again, and virtue, most of us believe that it should come from internally, and from inside, not come from when we act based on the situation that we face. So this is the what we call the ideas of virtue. That's why kita bind very much when we talk about doing good thing, we subscribe very much towards our religion's punya values, right? And our religion of values. That's why kalau you baca on virtue, on religion itself, there are lots of what we call statement on that, and how we should be act on, how our character should be, our action in our life, and talking on doing good thing. Kalau dalam agama is well explained, and so you can look into that. You want to know more about virtue, or you can even read and those scholars, right, on their ideas of virtue. Okay, now this is the last one. The last one is actually I already mentioned to you before. In fact, in chapter 1, kita ada mention about how we make the decisions. How we make the decision when we come with a situation of ethical situations. When we face the ethical situation, how we make the decision. Kalau kita baca chapter 1, there are steps. There are steps. We have to frame, right? Step 1, you have to frame. Then you have to find the data, that kind of thing, Then only then at the end you take the action. Okay. So, but here actually very much on kita punya how we identify the situation is ethical, very much on your mind. And here, inside your head. So in our head, there are two systems that apply on this kind of situation. One we call it X system, the other one is called, we call it C system. That's why when we say, okay, when we feel a situation of bribery and corruption, immediately we know that there is a situation of ethical, issue of ethical is there. When people give money, right, illegally, then we know there is straight away is bribery, there is corruption. When people steal, we know there is action as stealing, there is unethical. Right? Immediately you come with your decision. You know the action, what the action is, ethical or not ethical. Why? Because you are consciously, unconsciously, automatically, you fall under the what we call it you refer to X system that we have in our mind. X system meaning that When we face that kind of situation, we have a prototype. We have a reference that we can refer to automatically, unconsciously. Tak payahlah lah kita nak ni. So automatically we come up with the answers of that situation. And as I said, we have that prototype. You know prototype? Prototype is models lah. We can have the model. Like for example, you know proton, and before they come up with new model, but not yet on what we call on the road, and not yet what we call uh, not yet on the road, in a sense, or not in dalam dia punya progress, and definitely they have a prototype of that. And so one day you nampak one model of Toyota Proton, and on the highway, you never seen before, and you know you know the news, there will be Proton will release a new model. There, you know, so you can refer the new model, and the new model that they're going to sell, the one that you have seen, that is prototype, and definitely they will go to your head. Next time when you look into the real model. I've seen this one before. I've seen this one before, and this we call a prototype. Okay, compared to C system is when you don't have any reference, you don't have any prototype. You need time. Slowly, your mind works. You know how to identify, and that very much it will go to the one that we learn. It can go to the steps. You know how to identify that situation is whether it's ethical action or non ethical action, whether it's ethically right or non-ethical right. It's not ethical right. So you have to progress, and you have to go through the process of doing that, because it take time, because we don't have any prototype. We don't have any reference yet. Okay, this is the thing. This is the system. For example, you know, you face when you belum belajar lagi, you don't even some of you don't realize the words or conflict of interest. Maybe it's new to you. Conflict of interest. What is conflict of interest? People say to you, conflict of interest is unethical behavior. It's very unethical. So you try to come up. Why is it unethical? It's something new to you, right? So you have to collect the data. You have to go through the process. And why you have to read that kind of thing, you know? You know. So you take your time. Slowly, you take your time. And you have to go through process. But it depends, contrary to the X system, where you already have the prototype, you already have the data, you already have the reference. So immediately we know, and we can go and refer to. So how our mind work, in the process of when we face the ethical situations, and it can come from these two approach. The result have to come from these two approach, whether it come from your X system or it come from your C system. Okay, we're done. In chapter 2, okay? We stop chapter 2, give me 1 minute. Right? Okay. Boleh nampak? Can you see the chapter 3 slide? Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, doctor.
Boleh ya? Clear ya?
Clear.
Right. Kita proceed with chapter 3, right, Sid? Okay, kita try to, if we can finish this week, chapter 3, and next week we concentrate on chapter 4. Meaning that if we can finish chapter 4 next week, meaning that we have another 4 chapters to go before after the break. Right? After the break. I think after next week we have a break, 1 week break, sir. Okay, chapter 2 actually is talking about the economic system that we have right now. And Very much if talking about when they're talking about economic system, system of business, and that's what system of business. So basically, how many types that we have? Ada berapa jenis? How many types we have on economic system here that practiced by in this world? Some country practice this, some country practice that. The system. Basically, how many system that we have? Four. Okay. Again, sampai dia tadi just now I said four. Who said four just now? I missed just
It's
synonym.
me, Doctor.
Is it
Dr.
you?
Ping.
All right.
Yeah.
Why you say four? Just me, just name that four.
Okay, so this is from my knowledge from the economy
You're
subject.
from
So
economy.
the four,
All right.
yeah, the four are
The three in front of you, right?
capitalist. Sorry.
The first three are in front of you, right? You can see that first.
Yeah.
Three.
Yes.
Okay, that's my question. Where another one?
The Islamic economy.
No, actually no. It's not economy.
Oh, it's not.
Actually, economic no. Economy is actually is just part among of this economy, right? Just among of these four, very much, right? Now the one is this is economy. The last slide. Can you see?
Yes,
Is it?
yes, yes. Can
Ah,
see.
we call it mixed economy, right? So Islamic economy is we can put aside first, right? We're talking about in the traditional way. We have four. This you're correct, right? Three is in front of that you can see now. We have what we call traditional based society, common economy, and market economy. Traditional based society is the how they do business, right? This is actually we don't refer to the country. The whole country practice this. No, right? Hardly you won't find any country practice. Any one country that really practice what we call traditional based society. It's very much on the society, community, small community that practice this. Ini ada practice, for example, those tribe in Sahara Desert, the Med peoples, they are very much practice this kind of economy. Those Eskimo people, even Eskimo, not all the Eskimo, maybe certain group of Eskimo people still practice so-called what called traditional based society. So this is a rare practices of the certain group of people. Okay, we call it traditional based society. So this is not very much important, not much on people think that people discuss a lot. It's just it's what we call based on just budaya culture and it's not a very specific model on that. The second one is common economy. Ini quite we have few countries still commit with this kind of practices on business practices on what we call it common economy. Can you name? It's about economy system based on primary on the government authority and primary, in fact, totally making the economic decisions. Okay, can you name one obvious that still practice on this. Negara mana that still practice on what we call a command economy. Oh, banyak. Just give me few. If you think there are many, okay, give me few. If you think only one or two, give me just one. The nation, the country still, practice the what so-called command economy. Salsabila, China. Okay, all right, we reserve that one first. China, okay. And others? Is it China really a combined economy? I'm talking about now. Okay. North Korea. Okay. So I like Okay, another one is North Korea. All right, good. Okay, precisely, right? The answer is North Korea. Why is it China? We have resolved a bit right now. So China is not right now. I'm talking about it used to be. China used to be a command economy, but not right now. Not now. Not right now. Not now. And now they are very much fall under Salsabila. Do you think? Salsabila, what do you think? You can put there. As I said, China is not a command economy now. It fall under mana? What kind of practice? What economy that they practice right now? China. And few others lah. Okay, Salsabila, agak-agak wish. Is it traditional based? No, right? Again, I tak nampak. That's why I say you have prefer someone talks. I can research.
So I think China is practicing market economy.
Market economy. Okay. You again, okay, again. I think not tepat, not yet they come to that point. They are on the one I show you, the last one I do. Tadi. They are very much on this economy,
Mixed economy, is it?
mixed economy. Right.
Sultan, Salsabila dah jawab tadi.
Yes, Salsabila, yes.
Mixed economy.
Mixed economy. Okay, betul lah. It's
Ada
mixed
kat
economy.
chat jawapan.
Okay, mixed economy, that's correct, right? They are more on not toward that, and more on economy that retain a market, right? So now they open up, of course, used to market usually last time, and China is we call it closed economy, right? China is everybody know is a closed economy. Very much, if you look back, right? Those countries that practice what so-called common economy is based on their ideology, right? Very much based on ideology. Those countries, the communist countries, right? The communist country very much. At that time, their practice is very much on what we call common economy. Eastern Europe at that time, right? In early 90s, 80s, 90s, right? So very much when they are really what we call close, they are close to that what we call that very much subscribe to the ideology or communist ideology. They are very much fall under this what called common economy. But now when they are start to open up, except North Korea. Even if you take common economy, you refer to Cuba. Yes, we can accept that Cuba is almost, we can say that again, it's correct. It's a command economy. But now even Cuba start to open up. Right? When they start to open up to the private entity and commercial, then now they're moving toward more on the mixed economy. Because Cuba is, we can say 80% still under the command of under what we call the authority of government. So we say still a command economy. We're talking about North Korea, 100%, and that is under the government, what we call decision all under the government. So very much, if you look on mixed economy, those countries who used to be their ideology of communist, very much at that time they are on common economy, but now they are moving a bit toward mixed economy. Okay, mixed toward the mixed economy, the involvement of the private sectors, the involvement of private sectors, in the running of the business. So you can say that common economy is not very popular right now, and I'm not saying it's rare. And even Vietnam is a mixed economy right now. Vietnam used to be a closed system. Is a common economy, fully economy, but now you can see Vietnam been opened up to the what we call the normal the models of pre-business, what we call pre-market business, very much on the market economy. Try to mix market economy with the what we call on the involvement of government in decision of business. So kita nampak they are more moving toward that kind of models. So we can say that now in this world, there are 4 types of system that or market economy that we practice. Traditional base, I said, is a rare, is few, and it actually is not practiced by a nation. It's just a communal ataupun satu society group, small group of people who practice this traditional command economy. Also, not very popular right now. On the model of what we call towards uh, at the end, more on toward the end, till ends of the system, and of course, very much, I would say 80 or 90% that we practice right now, business that we practice right now is this model, under this model, market economy. The market economy system based primarily on private individual making the main decision, economic decision, meaning the private sectors, the individual, no involvement of the government. So the question right now, nanti kita discuss later on, whether we call it pure, perfectly perfectly market system. So if perfectly market system, we refer to this definition. Cuma sekarang kita kata, we agree that most country practice free market. Actually, free market we refer to this lah. Free market refer to this. What we practice free market is pure free market or not? And the definition of free market meaning zero intervention of government. If you look into 7 characteristics of free markets, right? Meaning that zero involvement of should be, we can say zero involvement of government in the market itself, in the business itself. That is pure, perfectly competitive market, or free market. Cuma kita tengok on reality, we will look into reality. It look like that or not? Tak apa, nanti kita discuss later, right? Okay, when we talk about this, free market and free trade, here free market meaning that refer to market economy, and refer to this. So it create from market economy, we create what we call free market, okay? And at the same time, we create also what we call a free trade, okay? Create a free trade. Looking at the word free, what we call free market, and the one free trade. Actually, it's telling us the same definition, except that free trade refer to doing business, some like free trade, free market, but you're doing business with different nation. In fact, it is across border punya business. We are doing business with Thailand, we are doing business with Indonesia, Europe, America. Here we refer to trade, free trade. If you're doing business locally, it's free trade, free market. Yang kita practice here, free market. Free market refer to the market demand, market punya system. Market economy refer to market economy. It's free market. We're doing it locally, and while you cross border, we call it free trade. And immediately you bring your goods, and you go and sell to Thailand, or the Thai people come here sell their product. That is, we call it free trade. Itu ya different. They're the only difference between that. The rest sama. The practice how we do the business sama, except the different only you bring your goods exchange, doing business with other country and to other country. Going to Thailand, you sell your goods, then that is we call it free trade. They come here doing their business here, we call it that free trade. Okay, how we practice when they receive, similarly, it refers to the practices of free market, right? Meaning that it meet that 7 criteria. We will look into that. What that 7 criteria of free market? Okay. Okay. These scholars, Locke, Adam Smith, there are a few scholars who talk about free market. Why people look very much on free market or market economy? Because this is what the majority, the model that we apply, we practice right now. majority of countries that practice on free economy or free market. So that's why this one is, in other words, the model that subscribed by the majority of the nation. So there are what we call pure point of view. The ideas come from these scholars lah, and other scholars can talk about this free trade. Free market. Free market. So among them is Locke, John Locke, but I don't want to go very much on this. Very much of all these people, these scholars or the thinkers, these are the people who are live in the 16th century, 17th century, 18th century, and based on their observation on that time, just to you to what we call to give you the ideas, right? But everybody, you can see some of the idea can apply now. We apply now what the ideas. For example, we Locke in what he called a state of nature, and for Locke, we to in business is with the free market, we must first fill up this one first, and this is a foundation. As a person, they kata all must be free and equal, and all are free and equal. Only then, this is the foundation. Only then we can talk about it can make it happen in free market. If you are not free, how can you talk about free market? And so it had to start dengan kitanya as a nature. Naturally, we should be free and equal. And Locke also said, each person owns his body because we own our body and labor. What we do is ours. And whatever we make is our own labor into. And what we do from our labor is ours. So that is, by nature, it should be that way. So we should free. People enjoy of life, liberty, and property are unsafe and insecure. And what we get from this freedom, right, is insecure. Okay. And there must some kind of mechanism, way, how to make sure that our freedom, the equality that we have, well protected. Okay. As a nature, kita sepatutnya we get this. We should get this kind of thing. Yeah? And we own our body. Whatever we do from our body is ours. Right? We must protect this one. What we get from that, you own your property. Right? It's not safe. Right? As a free, we should what we call free of having your own property. But this thing of freedom is not safe. We must get something. We must have some kind of protection mechanism to make sure that what we have is safe. So that is come the idea of to have a government. You see, the purpose of idea of having a government is actually to protect us, because they are our representative of safe, what we call of taking care of us, makes ours safe, right? So these people agree to form a government to protect and preserve the right of life, liberty, and property. And the purpose of having the government is to protect of this, to protect of our property, to protect of our life, and to protect of our freedom. So that's the idea of having having the government. So there is naturally is Loki look on that, right? Why we have a government? Because of this. And foundation needs as as foundation as a foundation, we must be free. We must have equality, and then we can talk about this market, what we call a market, free market economy. We have to start with somewhere. So that is the idea of Locke. There, of course, ada lagi Adam Smith. You can read this one, right? Okay. For example, okay, criticism, we can read this one. Adam Smith also another thinkers. So Adam Smith is, everybody know, if you're from economy, you know, he's a father modern of economy, and father of modern economy. Uh, so he have his idea of what is mean free market, eh? And utility. Utility we call it what is that? Tak nampak siapa yang tulis just now. Okay. And that's me looking at market competition ensure that pursuit of sell interest in market and advance the public welfare, right? So everything, you tengok nanti, I don't want to go through all this. Looking at Adam, Locke, John Locke, Hayek, Mrs., all looking on, agree that, right? In business, this is the best model. We're talking, this is the best model of what we call free market. And this is the best models. Naturally, as a person, we want to have a freedom in business. So you can read lah tentang Adam Smith punya idea, that kind of idea. Almost similarly, talking about the same thing, they agree that that this is the best models in business. This is what we call a free market. Similarly, Keynes pun cakap benda yang sama, right? You look, all these guys, Keynes, Adam Smith, John Locke, and what just now, Hayek, and these are people who live during this part, during that century, 16th century, 17th century, 18th century. So they're looking at very quite similar of it's cuma at their times, what they see on business is a simple model, and looking on a simple model that people, that's why now we have a even business in free market is not a simple model as it used to be. And yeah, complex. On free market right now, we have quite a complex model. We have so many models. For example, we have totally what we call free market. We have the oligopoly markets. We have the monopoly market. So these are the things, and they have not seen all this. So the idea that them limited, people criticize on them. You look on other criticism on this, on their ideas, because it's not fair. Sometimes we criticize when at their time they don't see this kind of what we call what they cannot predict that they're going to happen in what we so-called free market. Masa dulu at that time is market is just a simple models, a simple model, and at that time they agree that this is the best model that should apply, and they don't see any defect on that. But when look into now punya scenario, in free market we have so other models, and that mean the model is complex, and it's complex. We're talking about free market, very complex right now. We have we have what we call a common, perfectly competitive market. We have the group of businesses fall under this oligopoly. We have the businesses fall under this monopoly. So it creates a lot of what we call complexity in dealing with what so-called businesses punya ni. So this is the thing that you boleh baca lah. So actually all of these people talk the same thing. Okay, I think Charles Darwin. I think everybody know this guy, right? Charles Darwin. He have an idea apa dia? One of dia punya popular idea lah. Apa dia? Charles Darwin. They are quite ideas of what? Basically, dia punya idea kita ni, revolving of manusia ni come from where? Charles Darwin. They call it social Darwinism sebenarnya. Dia tak nampak dia punya ideas of manusia punya. Our guy baru join the meeting. Welcome. You know this guy, Charles Darwin? Dia ada satu idea. Idea yang refer to us. How we revolve. How kita human revolve through what? Come from what?
A monkey?
From monkey, correct. Eh?
Hmm.
So, right, yes, correct. Dia punya idea kita revolve through monkey. Our tok kita, started dengan monkey and then it revolve and then now kita human beings sekarang ni is actually is through the monkey punya ni lah. Of course lah kita know it's not correct, right? Tapi tak apa. That is his idea, right? Alright. And how Charles Darwin look into free market on this issue of market, right? And sama juga dengan Spencer, both their view almost similar, right? Their view is very much against social. Darwin's punya idea is they try to tear up businesses dengan how they run the business dengan how the animal run their life. So they call it a kingdom of animals, right? They refer to the kingdom of animals. And everybody know in the kingdom of animals, the fittest, the biggest animals survive, right? Not the small animals, right? The fittest will survive. Similarly, for Darwin and Spencer, they said in business that should how it look, right? How it should be practiced, how it should be practiced. So let those who can, who have the ability, the intelligent enough, good enough, should be in the market. Not the small people, you have less more capital, and this is not supposed in the market. So for them, everything should be run by all those who are fit enough. And if like we are, as I mentioned just now, in a perfectly competitive market, in what the real meaning of market economy, right? If you are small people, small business, if you cannot compete with big business, for these people, said yes, you are not capable to compete. This you should go out. You should go out. It's not your right to be there because you are not fit enough. And no one should come and help you. Ini kita cakap nanti we'll discuss on that. The involvement of government in so-called market economy. Kita we already discussed just now the definition of market economy. No government, no third party involvement. But that is it the right? It is actually that is the what really practice is so-called free market. It and in this world, is that how we practice that no government get involved? Nanti kita we discuss on that, right? So for Darwin and Spencer talking about that, right? We know that in business is, only the fittest, right? People who have capital, who have knowledge, people who have everything, they only can survive. And what about the small business, that kind of thing, where you cannot compete equally with the big guys? You cannot compete equally with big guys. Eventually you die. So according to this Spencer and Darwin, and that let them die. And then let them out of the business. And they should go out from the market. So this is the ideas of this. So their ideas is let those who are fit enough to be in the market. Okay. Again, tadi kita cakap that's been on pre-business, free market. Now it's talking the same thing with about free trade and utility, and talking about how we do business across the border. You can read this one lah. And so what he want is, what his idea is, we should specialize on something that we are good at. And we should be on competitive advantage. And how we do business with other nations when we have that competitive advantage with us. That's why right now some of their ideas is widely practiced. And that's why we for example, Malaysia can produce our own rice, right? People ask us, can we have is it possible for Malaysia to self-consume enough, right? We can produce enough, right, for to self-consume? The answer is yes, right? We have enough land, right? But why we don't know that? Why we import rice? And why we focus on the palm oil? even and this is so that is the things and people come doing that because we're doing what we are good at. We call it competitive advantage lah, kan? So we have Thailand. They are good at doing rice plantation. Okay, so they produce rice and they sell to us and all over the world. We are good on our palm oil plantation, and we're good on selling our oil, palm oil. So let we do that. So this is what we call doing a competitive advantage lah. What we have, what we're good at. So the idea is actually is kita terima what the idea of Adam Smith and Ricardo talking about, and in 17th centuries, doing what you are good at. And so meaning that what I'm talking about is actually the idea of doing you're doing business, you're selling your product, something yang kita ketahui good at of producing that product is actually the idea is dah lama dah come from Adam Smith, Ricardo. They have the similar ideas that what we're doing right now, right? That was in 16th century, 17th century. And all these guys, Adam Smith, Ricardo, Locke, and then these are the guys who we can say agree that, right, the best practice in business is we should have free market, and we should have free market, or we should under the command a market economy, and we should be in a market. Except this guy. Except this guy. Who is this guy? This is the guy. Kasma. Right. Kasma is a person that, as I say, among all these guys, he's the only guy who really against what so-called the market economy, what so-called a free economy, free market. He's the one who really go against that. Because why he go again? Because as I said, free economics, we create a capitalist system. A free economy, we create another system, and on the society, what we call it capitalist system. And for Kasma, capitalist system is a system who are, is not, injustice is there. Injustice is there. It's not fair to the society. When you create a class, a society, we have class, ada kasta, we had a kasta, ada class, society with class, rich people, medium class people, and low class people. So this is what the result of the free market. So Kasma is the person who really go again on that. Okay. I don't want to go this one last. I think kita stop di sini. Ada 10 more minutes, alright. Before the alright. I will stop. Okay, we discuss about Kasma this Thursday. I think we can finish next week. This coming Thursday on chapter 3, and maybe kita ada masa. The rest ada apa je? Rest I want to read, especially on the scholar, their ideas about free market. Right. As I said, free market or market economy is the widely practiced right now, the system that most of the nation subscribe to these practices. It's not like used to be. It's very getting more complex. What more when the business involve globalization, that kind of thing, So the model is become more complex. Businesses, how you run also become more complex. So we're going to discuss later when we go to chapter 4. And more chapter 4 about this. Okay, I will stop this one, and I'll go back to your attendant. At the same time, for those who have something to ask question regarding your assignment or anything else, you can do that. Kita ada a few more minutes. I think the one who asked me the question, I think yesterday or day before regarding that, have a couple of issue and in your writing up your assignment number 1, you can do that. I said, right? In fact, the idea of doing that is, for me, I'm more in favor of that, right? So that you have more thing to write and more thing to write. when you combine. But the most important, the most important, you must understand that when talk about issue, it must be a couple of issue, not one issue, a couple issue. You must make clear that that couple of issue must have ada hubungan, intercorrelated, and ada links there. There must ada link di situ. So when we're talking about, okay, like bribery, right? Bribery, one issue of bribery. So we want to discuss another issue, abuse of power. So we can see that they are interconnected between abuse of power and what we call issue of bribery, abuse of power and conflict of interest. Right? So you want to look on these two issues because you see that there's some correlation on that. You can do that, and of course, each of these things, there are a combination of principle that you can come up with. So that is a good idea for me. That's a good idea. You can do that. Even though I said in one is enough, but if you have the idea of doing a combination of the issue, you can do that. Alright, ada apa lagi soalan you want to ask me? Kita ada few more minutes. Yuk. Ada dah balik dah?
Doctor, may I ask?
Yeah, sure.
Doctor, the issue must be taken from Malaysia, is it? Because the handout mentioned local issue, local ethical
Dia
issue.
again ada mention the local issue, right?
Yeah.
Local issue meaning that internal lah. I think the issue, okay, even though it's, when you talk of, for example, issue of corruption, actually this is a universal issue, right? Talking about the issue of climate change, there is a universal issue, right? So what you talk about local actually apply to everywhere. And meaning that the theory, the concept is universal concept. Meaning that the example you want to give, for example, you're not just confined to the what will happen now, even though you take a local issue, right? We call a literature review, right? Your literature review, your reference, and your reference is you can get other reference, not only a reference from definitely. If your reference confine yourself on local reference, then you have uptime and maybe not enough reference. But you're allowed to get reference from other nation, outside nation. Yeah. Talking about climate change, it's happened all over the world, so you can get the reference from anywhere. You understand? Go. Even that issue is local, but reference, yes, you can take from other part of the world, other outside Malaysia reference for your reference.
Okay,
You
understand.
clear, right? Because
Yeah,
even
clear.
issue is even though issue, I said local issue, actually issue to actually a universal issue, right? You talk about pollution, you talk about conflict of interest, talk issue of that and that, discrimination, of job discrimination. The issue is universal punya issue. So definitely, right? Your reference, you shouldn't have any problem of getting your reference in your write-up, in your writing nanti. Okay, ada any more question?
Yes, Doctor, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Doctor, we don't know that the other groups, I mean, the topic of other groups, right? So, in case if coincidentally we took a same topic, is it okay?
I said, never mind, no problem.
No. Okay. And another question is, Doctor, for us, we was discussing among our group, and then we get to know that maybe why not we take one main issues, and then in the explanation when we write through the paper, maybe we can discuss more of the issue as in the examples which goes in different branches. For example, let's say we have our main issue, I mean our main topic is cyber crime, and in the branches we can talk about the spreading of fake news, the spreading of viruses, and the cyberbullying, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
is it
Yeah.
all right?
That's
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Thank you so much, Doctor. So that was just to clarify our doubts.
Okay. I think you're clear, right? Semua sekarang. So